Here's the roofing that we're gonna replace. Right now we just got cardboard on it. Alright, so using a air gun here, and just in case something, needs some lubrication, we're using some engine oil, and a lot of times I'll put engine oil on the top like that, and it helps cut through the aluminum a little bit better. The same goes for the other side, how the trim is attached. And then a lot of times the top will pop off, and you can get a punch and push out the rest of the rivet throughout the other. You can see I had to add an extra piece of aluminum right here because the gap was too large, and so added this, I think it was 2-inch filler aluminum, and then I mounted the vent onto that, and then the spacer filler was riveted to the roof, so that helped it fill in the gap. And then this one here had no issues. I just put this tape on here for the rain, so we have some self-leveling adhesive to seal up these holes and in between the crevices of this trim piece of the vent. And then once we do that, we will put some tape on, similar to what that is. Alright, so next here we're going to be just getting all these rivets out along the whole perimeter of the vent. And then once that is done, this thing should pop right out. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's rivets right there, right there, along the whole thing. And then once we drill those things out, we'll be able to take the trim off. Then we can fit the new one. Let's see, there's a pretty big gap. So that's the filler piece, and I mounted the vent onto the filler piece, and the filler piece was mounted to the ceiling. Little lubrication always does the trick. Open and burn up my air compressor because it's having a hard time staying in pressure. It goes inside, it's good. And over here, see, I got room a little bit. And I'm looking at this edge right here to that edge, and the trim piece slides right in between there. And then let's see that I have a plenty big gap right here on this side. So now looks like my holes are covering, which is good. Barely on this side, so I might shift it over to the right, looking forward. So, and then forward and aft looks, actually I'm gonna move it a little forward, so forward and right. Shift this over. Forward and right. Then we're gonna use a marker to mark it where we want it. And then I'll do on this other side here. These are the rivets I'm using. These are 3/16 by 1/2. And then this is the rivet gun that I'm using today. And basically the adapter here, there's all different kinds of sizes for the type of the size of the stem on the rivet gun. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that it fits in there nice and kind of snug, but not really. Alright, pray that this works. Alright, a little bit like that. Alright. This is day 2, and we repaired the air compressor. What happened was these cheap Harbor Freight air compressors, there's these reed valves inside the cylinder head. I know I should have recorded it, but I didn't. And you could take off the cylinder head of the air compressor, and there's these 2 reed valves. And a lot of times what happens is the air compressor will shake and then they'll shatter, and then actually there'll be pieces inside this cylinder on top of this piston head, and that's no good, and that's where you could see like scoring and whatnot on your cylinder walls. We're gonna use these attachments here. So we're already all set for this. So what happens is we got our correct diameter hole, and so what you do is you stick that in there, and then you open it, see it drops in place, and then you squeeze it, and what happens is you got to do it a couple times. It'll pull the stem, and it'll create a little bubble on the end of the rivet, and that'll secure your two pieces that you're joining together. To repair this cheap Harbor Freight tool, but it just didn't hold. I mean, you could see it popped right off, that my neighbor made. Look at that. Yeah, it's so good. Also, look at this. Last week, all that food, so amazing. It's another meal. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, my neighbors are really hooking me up. Really good people. As you can see, it's kind of close, so I can't stick the trim in there. So what we're gonna do is, I'm just gonna get my saw and cut just a little bit of that right there. Bottom edge, and this goes up on the side, and this is 2 inches here. So basically I went 1 inch up, drew a line, and then all I'm doing here is I'm taking my sheet metal cutters, and I'm just cutting right along the line here. I'll use a file to file the loose edges from the cut, and then the file brush. So you're done with your files, you can get rid of the burrs on your file. That's what this is for. And that there is the food that I ate before I worked today from my neighbor. who owns this truck, and so we're hoping to, once we get this done, hoping to maybe cook out of it and then put it up for sale. So if you are interested in this truck, it will be for sale. Just hit me up and comment below or whatever. You can message me if you're interested in this truck. Alright, bye.